this video, we show you how to set up Discovery in the ITOM guided setup. Linked timecodes for these topics appear in the YouTube description for this video. Now that you're ready to set up Discovery, you need to determine the IP ranges and IP addresses on your network that you want to include in Discovery. But first you need to understand the IP ranges in your environment that are reachable by your MID servers. ServiceNow can do this for you using the MID server IP range auto-assignment feature. In a complex network, it's a good practice to group IP ranges into range sets. Discovery does not scan anything outside of these ranges assigned to a schedule. You can also define ranges you want to exclude by accessing the Discovery IP ranges for a schedule and adding them in the Discovery Range Item Excludes related list. Next, you need to obtain the list of credentials for the devices on your network that you want to discover, including Windows and Unix computers, printers, and network gear. The MID server uses these login credentials to query these devices. Otherwise, it won't discover them. Now we can pick up where we left off in the ITOM guided setup after installing the MID server. A user with a Discovery admin role can set up Discovery. Haven't set up a MID server yet? See our MID server video for more information. The first step is to add the credentials. For our example, let's add a Windows credential. For Windows Discovery, the credential should be a domain user with local admin privileges to the targets you want to discover. This is required for Windows for Discovery to get valuable connection information. Here's a tip. Many customers use a single service account for their Windows environment to make management easier. For our example, we'll use such a credential that is valid across several servers in a Windows environment. We can test the credential right from this page to make sure it works against a specific target. In the Test Credential dialog box, we enter the target, which is the IP address on which the credential is run. The MID server and port fields are pre-populated by the system, so the test is ready to run. Here in our example, it failed, and the error indicates that the authentication failed. We determined that the username was off by one character, so we fix that and retry the test. This time the test succeeds, so we submit the record. When we're done adding credentials, we mark that step as completed. The next step is to add schedules for Discovery. For our example, let's create a schedule for discovering CIs on a specific subnet. With this type, we can choose how the MID server is selected. Because we have configured our MID servers with the correct application, Discovery, and IP ranges have been assigned, we let Discovery auto-select the MID server automatically. We can enter a name for the location in the schedule, which will also populate the location field in the CMDB on all CIs discovered by this schedule. In max runtime, we can put a limit on how long this discovery will continue to run. We'll leave it at 0, which means it will run until completion, however long that may take. And we want it to run every week on Monday at 10 p.m. We enter the time as 2200, as the ServiceNow platform always uses the 24-hour clock convention. Note that times are relative to your own account time zone settings. Everything else looks good, so we'll right-click on the header to save it. Next, we add the IP address range we want using quick ranges. Using what is called CIDR notation, we can specify an IP address range, for example 10.0.1.0/24, a list of IP addresses, or an individual IP address, and click Make Ranges. We can add more schedules later, but for now we mark this step as completed. Now that we're done setting up Discovery, let's test it by reopening the schedule record and clicking Discover Now. We click the status record number to watch the progress. Note that you can also click Refresh to update the status. Another handy tool is Quick Discovery. Use this to discover a new device that you just added to your network, rather than waiting for a scheduled discovery. Just click Quick Discovery and enter the target IP. This must be a single IP address, not an entire network. let's discover the host that we added the credential for earlier. Select the MID server if it's not already selected for you, and click OK to start the discovery process. When we open the Discovery Status record, we can access the discovery timeline. Here we can see the phases of discovery and how long each one takes. So what happens in each phase? Let's take a quick look. In the first phase, port scanning, Discovery launches a Shazam probe to scan the defined IP address or addresses and identifies responsive or active IP addresses and defined Discovery port states. In our example, the probe finds an active IP address that responds on port 135, so Discovery will assume it's a Windows device and launch the Windows classification probe. In the second phase, classification, Discovery continues to send probes to find the type of device at each IP address. In our Windows Server example, Discovery sends the WMI probe, used for Windows devices, to determine which Windows operating system is running on this device. In the third phase, identification, Discovery sends probes to collect additional information about the device to uniquely identify it. Discovery then uses CI identification rules to check the CMDB for the matching CI. If a matching CI is found, it is updated. If a matching CI is not found, a new CI is created. Once identification is successfully completed, the fourth phase, exploration, launches probes to gather additional information about the device, like the applications running on the device, and attributes such as memory, network cards, drivers, and more. Discovery processes the results and updates the CMDB. When the quick discovery status is completed, we can see if a CI was created or updated. We can view the record of a newly discovered CI in the CMDB. For CIs that have changed, you can look at the timeline and view any incidents or changes in the list at the bottom. We can also view the Discovery dashboard to see the current status of all discovery activity. For more information, please consult our product documentation, knowledge base, or podcast, or ask a question in the ServiceNow community.